Peace, YouTube. This is Sean Young, also known as Supreme, with another episode of Adventures in Wholesaling. Peace, I'm back. Alright guys, let me walk you through this deal. I'm actually headed to a closing attorney's office, headed to two closing attorney's offices to pick up 2 checks today. Now I just wanted to share that with you guys and let you know how I got that deal. Well, first of all, the deal was gotten, or I got the deal from cold calling, picking up the phone, dialing. Simple as that. You know, dialing through lists of names that I've retrieved of homeowners that were either absentee owners, tax code violations, yard violations, code violations. There's a number of different lists that I use, that I pull from. But what I try to do is I try to do what's called stacking, and I stack my lists. So when I look for potential motivated sellers, what I do is I say, okay, let me look for absentee owners. Let me look for high equity. Equity is the amount of money that the property has in it that is not owed to the bank or anybody else. So let's say if a property is worth $100,000 and a homeowner has, they owe $70,000. That means that house has $30,000 in equity in it. If the house is free and clear, it's 100% equity. That's just a good way for you guys to understand equity in a nutshell quickly. Don't get wrapped up in the details of trying to understand things before you move forward and just take action, because you'll find out all these things along the way while you're taking your action. So I apologize, I'm driving down the street, guys. I wanted to make this exciting for you guys and have you guys share. I want to share my excitement with you as I'm headed to the closing attorney's office. So that's why I'm driving down the street. So sometimes you're going to see me looking at the camera, and sometimes you're going to see me focusing on traffic. So bear with me. So let me get back to this deal. I cold call these numbers. And a particular homeowner. Well, let me just tell you guys this. This process that I started with cold calling, I just implemented this about maybe 3.5 weeks ago. Now, this is going on the end of my 3rd week. We're going into the 4th week, and what we're doing is we're cold calling numbers, and then following up with those people who are saying that they're interested in selling their home, and sorry about all the bumps. It's a bumpy road, guys. But yeah, so what we do is we follow up with all the homeowners that said, yes, I'm interested in selling my home, or I'm willing to hear what you have to say. And the way that that's accomplished, guys, is with my VA. It's a VA that's a virtual assistant, is what that stands for. And they actually make my cold calls for me, and they screen them, so to speak. And this is actually something that I used to do myself. I used to do all the screening, everything from beginning to the end. So I want to give you guys some advice out there. Just because I say that I have a VA doing that, I want you guys to actually get out there and do it yourself before you think about hiring a VA, so that you know how to train that VA properly to do, to take the calls properly and to ask the right questions. So with that being said, I just want to kind of get back into it. You guys have to, do what it takes to get a deal, and picking up the phone is going to be what it takes. There's a lot of people out here that are sending, yellow letters or postcards to homeowners, and, putting up bandit signs out here in the streets, and all those things work. They work very well. But just think about things from a perspective of you. If you were a homeowner and you received, let's say, 10 letters in the mail, and they all look the same, all yellow letters with, red writing or something. They all said, hey, I'm interested in buying your home. How excited would you be to actually pick up one of those letters and give them a call back? Even if you were motivated to sell your home, or you were in a predicament, you would probably feel like, man, all these letters, they all look the same. I don't know which one to call. So I say that to say that you want to do things that makes yourself stick out. So if you're gonna use a yellow letter, write on it with a black marker, a black magic marker that says, hey, I want to buy your home. Here's my number. Call me back. Do something that makes you stand out. And calling people is one of those things. A lot of wholesalers out here have started to implement, calling people, or it's called, the system is actually called TTP, talking to people. And I want to give a shout out to Brent Daniels for that. He's actually the investor who esteemed had that whole, or who actually promoted that whole idea from my perspective, from my knowledge. One of my mentors, which was Tom Kroll, Wholesaling Inc., and he implemented a portion of Brent Daniels' tactics to get motivated sellers, and TTP, or talk to people, is one of those tactics. So basically, we implemented that process, and like I say, it's been going now for about a month. We got our first deal out of it, and let me tell you how it went. All right, I called up the homeowner after seeing them in my database. After the VA determines that they are someone who would potentially want to talk to us, we put them into our CRM, which is our customer relation management tool. And the tool that I use is called Podio. I think it's very important that you have one so that you can track your business and know where things are at, and just know what's going on at your business at all times. Excuse me. So I gave this gentleman a call. Let's just say his name is George. So I gave George a call. Hey, Mr. George, how's it going? George let me know that he actually has had a tenant in the home for the past 4 years or so, and it wasn't really going too well. The guy wasn't a bad guy. He was actually doing a favor for one of his friends, and he allowed this gentleman to live in his home for a very, very inexpensive price. It was for like $400 a month or something. That was unheard of. I mean, a crazy good opportunity for the tenant. But the homeowner, he's getting up there in age, and he's really tired of being a landlord, and tired of doing the things that it takes to own a home and be a landlord. When you're a landlord, guys, it's not just as simple as owning a home and collecting rent. If the toilet breaks, you fix it. If the water heater goes out, you fix it. If the air conditioner, anything goes wrong, a leak in the roof, anything, a crack in the driveway, it's your responsibility to get that fixed. So my homeowner George had just really reached his point of wanting to deal with that any longer. So he wanted to get $20,000 for the home initially. I offered, and you guys are gonna say, man, that's pretty low. But listen, this is how the business works. It's not about what I believe or what I think. The market actually would dictate me what the price is, and the seller dictates you what they want to sell it for. So what I did was he threw out there, he wanted $50,000 for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and but it was pretty big. I believe it's like maybe almost 1,000 square feet. So the opportunity to add a 3rd bedroom is there for any investor. So the bottom line is he wanted $20,000. I countered at $6,000. I mean, it seems like we're way off, right? We're in two different realms. However, he didn't bark at that. He said, hey, let me think about that. So I said, hey, absolutely. Let me tell you this. Before I say absolutely, and you guys follow that advice, usually we don't want them to think about it. We want to try to, while we have them on the phone or at an appointment, we want to say, hey, what is it that you need to think about? Is there something that I can help you out with now? Because any questions that you have, let me answer them for you while I'm here for you now. So the guy said, can we think about it? So I said, sure, not a problem at all. He says, I need to talk with my wife. And I said, oh, not a problem. Is the home in both of your names? And he said, yes, it is. So that's very important to know and to understand, because you got to know who are the sellers, so that you can know who needs to be on the contracts or on the agreements. We don't want to use that word contract with our sellers or our buyers. We want to use the word agreement. Contract has a negative connotation to it and just kind of tone to it. So we want to keep everything positive, guys, because we actually are out here helping people. We're helping homeowners, and we're helping investors who are looking to buy homes to either rent out or flip and resell. So George, actually, he called me back literally in like maybe 5 minutes after hanging up. And honestly, I was going to call him back later that night anyway, just to get a temperature check on him and just to see how things were going. So he called me back about 5 minutes later and asked me if I could meet him at the home. Of course, dropped everything I was doing and drove out to the home and met with him. When I met him at the home, we talked for about, he didn't bring his wife, but he said his wife was all okay with whatever decision he came with at that point. So at that point, we really didn't need her to be there. So we met at the home, we met out in front, and I went and sat in George's car, and I had my agreements with me, had some numbers with me so I could back up some things, and just in case he countered, I would have some justifiable data to back up why I'm trying to charge him, or not trying to charge him, but why I want to offer the price that I'm offering for his home. So George, he said, hey, me and my wife, we thought about it, and we're wanting to sell the home for $10,500. I know you wanted $6,000, and we initially wanted $20,000. Now I came back and said, hey, can we do $9,000? George says, if we can do 10, we got a deal now. I said, hey, let's do it. We got a deal. So I built some rapport with George while I was in the car. I don't want to make it appear as if I just went to the property, jumped in the car, said, what's your numbers? Give it to me. Let's do it. No, we talked for a little bit. I got some background on him. I understood a little bit more why he wanted to sell the home, what his situation was with him and his wife, where he was at with retirement, and wanting to travel and take vacations, and that he had sold a couple of other homes last year, and that this was the last home that he was holding on to as a rental property. So it really gave me a good understanding of where he was. So I felt really good. I felt like we built good rapport. We were on the same page. We were where we needed to be, and we signed the agreement. I went home, or actually I got out of my car, shook hands with him. He drove away. I went and took a few pictures of the outside of the home. I never walked inside of the house. I took maybe 4 pictures of the outside. I have a website that I use where I post a lot of my deals, and it's called Connected Investors. I immediately went home to my home office. I work out of my home, and I posted those pictures. I posted some write-ups about the home, and I put the home out there for $20,000. Within, I say, 20 minutes, I had an offer on the home. About an hour later, I had a gentleman sending me earnest money to my closing attorney's office to secure the deal. So there's 2 things that I want to point out there. The first thing is that I might have priced the home a little too low, being that within 20 minutes I had a guy who wanted to buy it, and he had a deposit within an hour, and then within a couple of other hours I had 4 or 5 other investors who were wanting the deal as well. So what that let me know is I priced the deal a little too low. No, not a problem at all, because we're here to make money, and we're here to help people, and we're here to keep relationships going so that we can have our buyers want to work with us again in the future because they got a smoking deal, and you made money off of it as well. So I had my investor put down his earnest money, and we were closed. So we had the closing set for a week later. The day before closing, my buyer backed out. Yes, the day before closing, my buyer backed out. He said that he went and inspected the home, and it's going to take a little more work than he thought, and yada yada yada, all these different things. Now, when I have my buyers put down their earnest money, it's a non-refundable earnest money deposit. It's not contingent upon an inspection period. It's contingent upon you don't pay that earnest money until you're satisfied. And if you want to go ahead and pay it without viewing the home, hey, that's completely up to you. But it's all right there in my agreement, so that I'm protected 100% if that is the case. So bottom line is he backed out the day before we were to close, and he asked if he could get his earnest money deposit back. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Don't ever give back your earnest money. This is how you guys protect yourself. We're not in business for charity. We're in business to make money and to to try to help people. But we're not here to just give away our time and our energy. That week that I had that house under contract with that gentleman could have been a week that I closed the deal with someone else who was ready to roll. So bottom line is I put the deal back out to those gentlemen who were interested in buying it, and actually it's a buyer that I've worked with in the past, and I just said, hey, listen, man, if you want this home, I know you were interested, go take a look, and let me know, and I'll send the agreement out to you, and we'll get this ball rolling. And he was ready to roll, so he contacted me back. Sent his earnest money in the same day to the closing attorney. He actually wanted to use his closing attorney on this one, and usually I don't recommend you doing that, but it's a closing attorney that I'm familiar with, and I've used them before as well, so I was comfortable with them, so it wasn't really a big deal for me to use them again. So I went and allowed him to do that. Went ahead and sent everything over, and got the earnest money, confirmed that with the attorney that was received, the wire was received, and we're good to go. So I just want you guys to know that you got to have backups. You got to keep the ball rolling. You don't throw in the towel when things seem bleak. Don't throw in the towel when things seem like they may have fallen apart on you, because they haven't fallen apart. You can always go back to the seller if need be to say, hey, my buying partner for whatever reason wasn't able to close with me on this deal, but I've got a few other partners that I want to reach out to. Can we extend the time? Or I'm sorry, I know we had closing set for next week, but we're actually gonna have to extend that out a little bit further. Just be honest with them. Don't lie. Don't try to make up stories. Just be 100% honest. That's the best advice I can give you on that. And most sellers are pretty flexible with you on that, because they're already in the spirit of selling their home, so they're ready to sell. So I mean, if you need a little bit more time, they're more than willing to give it to you usually. So with all that being said, guys, I closed the deal, made $10,000 spread, also made $2,000 from the earnest money from the buyer that backed out on me. So that was a $12,000 deal. That was a $12,000 option fee that we earned, and it's money in the bank. Another deal in the history books for us, or for the record books, and we keep this ball rolling. I just wanted to share that because I wanted you guys to know that you can make money, from the earnest money as well, and add that to your bottom line. So instead of it just being a $10,000 deal, it turned into a $12,000 deal. And with that being said, guys, the next time I check in with you will be at the closing attorney's office to pick up the check and to share that with you guys. Peace. All right, guys, I'm back here at my closing attorney's office. I just picked up my final check for the deal that I just discussed with you guys. A total of $12,000. I want to share that with you guys, and it's not to rub it in or not to brag or anything. It's to show you that this is real, to show you that people are actually making money doing this, making a great living, and putting money in their hands. So let me show it to you guys. 10 and 2. 12,000, money in the bank. With that being said, guys, I'll see you on next episode. Peace. Oh yeah, before I go, hit the subscribe button. Share this video with your family and friends, or anyone who you think would need it. Peace.